Hi, welcome to Exploring Energy in Everyday Life with your co-hosts, Mary Von Ohlen, and
Rebecca Karchere. Welcome.
Thanks for tuning in. This week we're talking about a really fascinating energy healing modality called Theta Healing. You may or may not have heard of it. It has been around for a bit of time now. I was trying to remember. I think I got certified in it maybe in 2012.
Okay. Wow. Time flies.
It really does. Could have been 2013. I don't know.
Okay.
And it is taught usually to really anyone can take it and learn this technique. It's primarily a spiritual healing technique, and we'll get into kind of how it works a little bit. Like many spiritual healing techniques, there's some controversy out there. There's always the naysayers, and we can address that too. Some common beliefs and things behind why people tend to resist these types of, certain people tend to resist these types of healing modalities.
Right.
Always interesting.
Right.
But the basic premise of Theta Healing is that as the practitioner, you are not doing the healing, you are facilitating it. You are actually just, in essence, requesting the healing on a spiritual level and witnessing it.
Witnessing is key, yeah.
And when the word command that you'll hear with Theta Healing, commanding the healing, and that people mix that up with demand. It's not demanding, it's commanding. Right. Think of the word co, right? Cooperate. Co is about working together in unity.
Co-create, right.
Yeah, co-create. It's about a partnership, collaborating. Think about those type of words using co. So commanding a healing, it's basically, and it's about utilizing focused thought and prayer, actually, as the practitioner. And we'll get into all of this in a little more detail. Before I continue to go on, Rebecca.
So just to set a tone for so the founder is, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, it's Viana Steibel, and she healed herself of a cancer in her leg, I believe it was, just with Theta Healing. And so that's the story, and that's the background. Why did she use that name, Theta Healing? Because that actually wasn't the original name. It morphed into that because the healing takes place when we're in a theta state. And that means that's a certain brain wave that we experience when we're meditating. Is that the best way to describe that?
Yeah, absolutely. You can think about theta as, we all have all these different brain waves going on simultaneously. So it's kind of like when you're in a theta dominant state, you have more theta going on than, say, beta. Beta is like concentrated, getting something done, or high beta is like when you're anxious or defensive about something. But theta is also where creativity happens. Theta, I think about when you're driving on the highway and you've kind of spaced out, and then you come back to and think, wow, I just passed like 5 exits. Where was I? Theta. And memories right before you drift off to sleep. And like Rebecca said, in deep meditation. So it's where we can really access the subconscious when we're in that state.
That's the point. Yeah, I wanted to make sure we understood it. You're accessing the subconscious. And that, to me, is where we experience life most dominantly. That's kind of, this technique is genius because so many people, let's be real, so many people can't get out of their own way, and they don't know how. They don't know why can't I just do blah, blah, blah. And it's like, because your conscious mind only dominates or is only active like a little percentage of our reality. The rest of it is subconscious, and we don't have full access to it unless we meditate or unless we access something like Theta Healing. So that's how we get out of our own way, when we dive into the real processing and the programs that are going on between our ears. Okay, so I don't know where you want to go from there. So I would just want to share that I've read her books, Theta Healing, and Theta Healing and Advanced Theta Healing, and I've been using it. I'm not certified in it, but I've been using it for about 10 years plus. In fact, I was using it before I knew that I was doing it. And then someone, a lot of practitioners, a lot of friends were saying, you should study theta healing. Okay, and we were just talking about it very casually and very, and then so I've been incorporating it for quite some time now, and I love it. And I can't say enough about it. What theta healing does for me, the reason why I love it so much is because it helps access that part that we feel we don't have access to. And it helps us sort through or inventory our belief systems with which really create our reality. I don't know if you want to, what she breaks down in her first book, she breaks down the different beliefs. It can be on a core level, on a soul level, history level, and then a genetic level, I think. Is that right?
Right. So we could have taken on these beliefs at some point, again, subconsciously, during this lifetime, as children.
Right.
It could be like a world belief, like a societal belief, where that one is something that's kind of in the group consciousness, and we take that on, diabetes is incurable, as an example. And if that's out there so much in the group consciousness, sometimes as individuals, we just take that on, whether it's actually true or not. Usually, the point is that these are beliefs that don't serve us and that aren't really true.
Yeah, that's a good point. Not only do they not serve us, they're not true, or it's a creation. So now I'm bringing in the Avatar course, but it's a creation, period, end of story. And then whether you buy in or believe it or not, whether you agree with that belief or creation, then it, and then it snowballs. But yeah, it's just that. Why not create disease? Diabetes is incurable. Okay. Interesting. My friend would say, interesting creation. Like, no judgment, just interesting Oh, so you created it. Interesting.
Right. My EFT, emotional freedom technique mentors would say, oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting belief. Let's hold that to the light and see how true it is.
I love that. Hold it to the light and see how true. Right. A little litmus test.
Yeah. Where did that come from? Let's see what that's really about. Is it still
love
true?
It. Love it. So anyway, I don't know. I'm just trying to think. I just was looking through her book just before, and remembering that one of her things that she said, like a classic one, a classic belief, or like when you really get clear about the mind chatter, you hear this all the time. I need to lose weight. And her point was, this is just an example of beliefs and how we speak to ourselves. When you say that, I need to lose weight, which in parentheses she writes, well, now you're just telling your subconscious that like now you're going to be constantly finding something. I need to lose, like you need to it's the subconscious takes things so literally that's such poor language. If you actually want to lose weight, you can't say I need to lose weight. It doesn't compute. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that.
Well, yeah, and you touched on a really important point that language is powerful.
Oh yeah,
words have energy as well, and just as thoughts do. And again, this technique's about using focused thought. Really realizing how powerful words are, and words are what actually kind of form our beliefs, right? A bunch of words put together, and then we just absorb that as a belief and hang on to it and operate from that place. So this is about changing beliefs. It's funny, I'm thinking about the different things that people balk at sometimes with these types of things, and where someone will hear one aspect of theta healing and try to pull it apart and say, oh, you're reprogramming people? That sounds like a cult. It's like, no. No. It's about, pulling out kind of what belief that doesn't serve us, like you said, like, oh, always operating from this, I need to lose weight, I need to lose weight, I need to lose weight. It's not serving us. And then replacing it with something that does serve us.
Right.
And so then our body hears that, and our system hears that, and starts to align with that more positive, true, and supportive belief for ourselves.
Yeah. That just to have the discernment, like, why would I say I need to lose weight? So just as an example for those watching, so what would be a better statement? My health, I'm just going to pull one out of the ether here. My physical body is at its ideal body weight. Just affirm, and I'll, it's non-specific what I just said, but yeah, that would be a better thing to state as a program in the subconscious, right?
Right. Because then your whole being is trying to get into alignment with that. Don't you want to be working towards that as opposed to constantly being in a state of I need to lose weight, I need to lose weight, I need to lose weight.
Right. And then and I'm just thinking of Wayne Dyer. He did something about first of all, that word lose, people get all, their subconscious goes nuts with it. What do you mean I'm losing? I'm losing something? That means that means I have to find it, or that means I'm not winning. I mean, it messes.
Yeah, there's a sacrifice involved, which is that often comes up with weight loss. It's like, well, I'm going to be in a state of deprivation.
Good point. Or when we talk about loss, we could be talking about grieving or sadness. So it's more appropriate to say something in the present tense and say something like my body is at its ideal weight, something like that. Present tense, and you want to bring forth, you want to say what you want to bring forth in the future. So as if it's happening now.
Right.
What else I wanted to say? Oh, another reason why that phrase is so damaging is you're saying I need. What do you mean you need? And then you constantly need, and that's not a power statement. You're constantly like in this starvation or grasping at life. I need. That means that there's something inadequate about you when you're constantly saying that. So anyway, that's how clear you can get when you really look at your words. When I took the Avatar course, the first thing that they have us do in resurfacing is write your beliefs about this, write your beliefs about that, right? And then do that periodically to inventory where you're at, and then say, do I really want to believe this? And then maybe you want to seek out, either pick up the Theta Healing book or go to a Theta Healing practitioner and say, look, this is what I found so far. I don't want to keep believing that. But anyway, I don't know. I'm just ranting.
But you brought up a good point too. I want to make sure we address that. So there's lots of ways that you can experience Theta Healing. Mm-hmm. And if you want to experience it from, to become a Theta Healer, or just to experience what it's like to practice this, you could do like what Rebecca did, which is purchase the books that the founder wrote herself, mm-hmm. and study those and then practice those. I think that is, and she even says you can do that. It's more highly suggested that you actually take, hands-on a live course with a certified teacher, someone who's been certified to teach of the pure technique, because it's just a different experience, and it really helps you kind of get. It's kind of like if you've ever studied Reiki. You can read about Reiki, but if you go and when you actually become certified and experience it, there's an attunement that goes on. It really opens up your intuition in that way. Someone like Rebecca, I think, is ideal for self-study, because she was already, like she said, she was already open. She was already utilizing her intuition and practicing her intuitive gifts that way. And the other point that I wanted to bring up, Rebecca, is that you, I just lost it for a second, that in you utilizing that already in the past, that's what you mentioned. Mm-hmm. I love that you mentioned that you're like, I was kind of already doing this 10 years ago, and then I learned about it about 5 years ago. And I think that's another thing that I've read, some of the naysayers, that the people that hold limiting beliefs that prohibit them from really even being open that this technique works, right, and is pure, that they would say, well, this already exists. This is something else, and she's just twisting it, and making it her own to make money. So there's two things there. One is that absolutely self-healing and the ability to connect to the creative power that exists in the universe, whatever you want to call that, and that this oneness exists, that we all have access to it. Of course, that's always been around. And there's other techniques and beliefs and modalities and philosophies that address that. This is just another classic example of someone who experiences a spontaneous healing, realizes how it happened, spends some time intuiting how did this happen, and then feels spiritually prompted to bring forth, just another avenue to the world. So if it resonates with you, become a practitioner or to receive this type of healing. This is just another way to do it, or another way that it could be explained. I guess
Yeah.
is what I'm trying to get at, that just because if you think this sounds like something else, that doesn't discount what it is. It works. It worked
Right.
until she brings it forth for other people. And I just want to make the point that there are practitioners all around the world. And there's the basic, the advanced, and then all sorts of other, add-on type of exploring how to use it in different ways. That's fascinating. But just the basic technique itself is really powerful.
Yeah. So I have a lot of experience in Pentecostal churches, and that maybe set me up for this type of thing, but in part of my evolution, but Theta Healing, really, when I look through the books, it helped me to realize how people don't pray effectively in churches, in their own personal time. I think that's an art. And that may sound like blasphemous that I said that, but when I hear people talk, like what you said, words are so powerful and your intention is so powerful. We are co-creators with God. We are a part of God. And I think we all need to really look back and edit, take a step back and say, look at how we pray, because I think that really speaks a lot about how we're already feeling about our connection to God in that moment. And my friend Tara and I, we've had this discussion, and maybe eventually I'll do this, is teach a course on, effective praying. And it sounds like, how could I know what effective praying is? But it's, there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. And what I do hear most often, just in my observing, is that people pray in such a vague way. They pray like and Wayne Dyer's talked about, I've heard him say this too. It's like you're pleading or begging. And also my other favorite, Dr. David Hawkins. These are all the people that have influenced, some of the people that have influenced me. And it's really true that you want to, that there's an art to praying. And I think we've lost that art. And Theta Healing was one way that when I read her books, it expanded my consciousness, my awareness greatly. And it made me realize how important and how powerful the right prayer is to someone, for somebody. And when our prayers aren't answered, we think our prayers aren't answered. No, it's you want to look at your beliefs and the effectiveness in your prayers to start.
Yeah. I was just thinking that it's so, it's actually kind of ironic. It's the people that are so resistant to even considering these type of modalities tend to be because they hold their own limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
That prevent them from doing it. And they're the ones who could obviously benefit greatly from the type of belief work. That Theta Healing works on a lot of different levels, but belief work is what it's become pretty popular and most known for. Being able to very quickly and rapidly shift limiting beliefs, like we talked about before, that are on different levels of our consciousness.
But beliefs, people don't, I can't stress enough how our beliefs, the unconscious beliefs, are truly creating our reality, to the point where I could go on a tangent about some of the other practitioners I've read, and I won't. But how important it is, as simple as a food allergy. So I want to, don't let me forget. Let's talk about the benefits of Theta Healing, or the end result. But something like a food allergy could be resolved through prayer, or we'll call it Theta Healing, because that's the name of our show. Theta Healing, to me, it's otherwise, we're praying in Theta, or meditating in Theta. That would be my nondescript, my casual way of describing it. But you can have a food allergy resolved with Theta Healing, as an example. And it's about, and what would we extract out of that? A belief, a trauma from the past. And it's like, no, you don't need to avoid this food indefinitely, I promise you. It's something that needs to be explored. It can be healed or resolved. So Mary, we talked about the founder. She healed her, her own self, that inspired her to do this. Right. Of cancer, like this, bizarre condition. I don't know if you want to share, what can one, use theta healing for instance?
Yeah. I mean, what comes to mind is just kind of like when we talk about EFT, it's like, try it on everything, try it on anything.
Yeah.
I think the people that are tend to be attracted to these modalities have an openness. I just want to premise this by saying that it can be effective for anyone.
Right.
As the recipient of the theta healing, as the client or the patient, really all you need to do is have an open mind and just have a belief that it doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are or anything, as long as you believe that there is a higher creative force. And I hate the word force. I'd rather say the higher creative power at work that we can tune into, and that can spontaneously heal and make these amazing changes effortlessly.
Yeah.
That being said, people have utilized it, like Rebecca said, the founder, anything from serious health challenges, debilitating type of illness that hasn't responded to traditional other approaches, to changing your beliefs, to applying it for like abundance if you feel stuck in different areas of your life. Mm-hmm. So it's really a whole gamut of things. As a practitioner, I want to say it's really fascinating. It's very hard for me to put into words what it's like when I'm in that state as the practitioner facilitating it and observing, witnessing what happens, because it's kind of like in meditation. I've had really interesting things happen where the way that my intuition works, I'm not usually so much of a seer, clairvoyant. I kind of hear things or sense things, but when I started doing theta healing, I could really get some cool visual images, and whatever they mean, they were like symbolic. And then I would be able to explain to my clients what I observed from in terms of images and what the imagery, if you will, or the analogy for what was going on with them. And I would always be blown away as I would just kind of apprehensively share these wild things that I saw and sensed with the clients, and have them say, I can't believe you said that, because that's what whatever they experienced or something that had happened recently, and that type of imagery really resonated with them. Mm-hmm. So I just want to say that it's pretty fun. It's pretty cool. Yeah,
it's fun. I use theta healing. You guys are gonna laugh because we're talking about healing to get the house that I'm in right now, and you're gonna, how the heck, because that's not healing. Because she talks about going into the future, going out into the future, seeing what's ahead, and then shifting it, long story short, I'm in the house that I created, that I helped attract, and I wrote, it's in my my blog, I forget the title of it, but the story of how I got this house is a series of synchronicities that blow my mind. And I had prayed about it, and God got this house in such a miraculous way. I can't even, read the article, but that's my testimony.
I love that story. Well, we will be sure to put the link to that story that Rebecca wrote out for us to enjoy, and also the link to the official Theta Healing site, where you can search for practitioners, and a link to the book if you want to start to study it on your own as well.
Yeah, and studying it on your own. Look, if this has piqued your interest and you want to just work, try this for your family and for yourself, please get her book. And even if you just do it for friends and family, I would love that. I would love that if people would, open up their awareness and become more connected to all that is. And you don't have to do this for money. You don't have to open up a business, just learn it for your own well-being.
You brought up a great point, Rebecca. We were talking just before the call about, before the recording, about those different things that get in people's way, and of being open to this type of thing. And one of the things, or one of the critiques that you'll get from the internet trolls, for lack of a better term right now, people that will chime in with criticism without knowing anything about it, will say something like, if this is a healing technique, why are they charging for it? This founder's just trying to make money, or this is a scam, or this is a Ponzi scheme, and she must get a piece of everything. A, no, she doesn't. And B, why is it that only with certain things do people attach, they don't attach value to it. They think it should be free. Whereas, well, why do doctors charge then? And there are other realms where it's really disproportionate with what people charge for their time, or what you're actually receiving.
Right.
Something that's so pure that people are coming from a heart-centered place and have taken the time and energy to learn and then want to help others and devote their life to it, essentially, and they still have to eat and live, why is it that people use that type of a belief, a criticism about the money part? Why are they charging? And they're so skeptical about that, and they're not suspicious about the realms where they really should be, because there's reason to be skeptical.
Right. Well, yeah, I think they're speaking of their own, whether they're probably not aware of it. They're speaking of their own disconnection with themselves and with God, and they're speaking of their frustration that this is our God-given right if you pick up the damn book. Because, or if you seek out a practitioner, a prayer is our God-given right to connect to our source. We all have access to that. We all are entitled to connect to our creator. So I think people like that are speaking to their own frustration with, why can't I connect to God? Why would I pay you to connect to God? I mean, I personally felt that way when certain people try to sell me something. I'm like, I have full access to the divine myself. So, and so, right, we shouldn't be paying for these things. It's unfortunate, but that's where we are in our evolution. Hopefully people like me will not need to exist, because we'll all be healers ourselves. That's what my program is all about, source energy technique, which is inspired by one of the techniques is theta healing, because this is something we should all be innately doing for ourselves. We should not be going to medical doctors for something that we have access to. But apparently over our evolution, we've lost touch, we've forgotten, we've disconnected, we feel separate from, whatever word you want to use. And this needs to be either remembered, is another, we need to either remember this again, our connection, or learn it, however you want to, whatever perspective, and, get to, reconnect again. So yes, you do need to pay somebody, because we've all lost touch, but ideally one day it will be, widely available, because we'll all have collectively remembered, which that's what we're moving towards.
No,
I personally don't want to be, you're going to laugh, I personally don't want to be a healer. But it's an innate drive. Like, I have to help people. It's like, wake up, people, remember, where's your, to help people remember their power, remember their connectedness. I would rather be, what I do when I have a curtain up, I'd rather be painting. I'd rather be doing my jewelry. It kills me to hear that people are dying of, preventable diseases. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a really silly analogy in comparison, but what came to mind as you're talking about this so eloquently was as simple as also that, look, we all could learn how to fix our own cars, right? Does that mean that you shouldn't pay your mechanic? Does that mean that, and that we're at a place in time where that's just not part of, we're not all raised, and we don't get a course in how to repair and maintain your own automobile. Just like we don't get that course about how to maintain our own body in school. The health classes address certain things and not others. And that's what comes to mind. Yeah,
like, we're in our body. We are connected to God. So how could we have lost touch? And, it should be something innate. It should be something that you're just born with. But no, pick up her book, learn theta healing, and pray effectively, and take the reins of your own life. I mean, that's my whole message, and has been.
Absolutely. And if it resonates with you to start on the level of experiencing it with a theta healer, look, reach out to Rebecca or myself, but what I will say is what the founder says too is, go to the website, look where the practitioners are, and just feel who resonates with you. Because everyone's different. You want to work with someone who feels right. Same thing with teaching. If you're going to go take a course in it, which I highly recommend that as well, that experience, pick a teacher that, when you tune into them, just kind of read about them, see their picture, whatever, and pick someone who resonates with you.
So thank you for watching. We'll put all the links below. I hope we've inspired you to Theta Healing, and I don't know. It can be used for anything and everything, obviously. If we're just talking about specificity of prayer, that would include all things, hence my house.
Exactly.
So,
all right, so we will be back next week, and to be determined what our topics are. We are now going to move into some interesting recordings where we will either be talking delving into a certain case study or talking about a specific type of condition that someone might have, and we will explore all the different realms of all the different aspects of what might cause that, and go into different options for how to heal those specific conditions.
Love it.
Yeah, comment if you're watching this and you want to hear about a specific condition or challenge, physical, mental, spiritual, or otherwise. Please comment in the videos below and say, hey, I'd love to hear about such and such. So, and if this resonated with you, please, we found it valuable, like it, share it, comment, and subscribe to our channels. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
See you next time.